winking her eye. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. Everything's going my way. All the sounds of the earth are like music. All the sounds of the earth are like music. The breeze is so busy, don't miss a tree. But an old weeping willow is laughing at me. I've got a beautiful feeling. Everything's going mine. Oh, what a beautiful day.
Good morning and welcome, everyone. Please, let's all give another round of applause to our Central Florida Vocal Arts and Teresa Smith-Levin for our song, Oh, What a Beautiful Morning. It truly is a beautiful morning here in Winter Park. I'm Clarissa Howard, the Communications Director for the City of Winter Park, and it is my honor to illuminate arts and culture in Winter Park with all of you today. To start off our morning, we have a special video from our mayor, Phil Anderson, who unfortunately could not be with us today due to previous plans out of town, but he didn't want to miss an opportunity to celebrate with us. So let's hear from our mayor.
Hello, I'm Phil Anderson, Mayor of Winter Park. Good morning. I'm so sorry I cannot be there with you today. I really did not want to miss celebrating the importance of arts and culture in Winter Park, but unfortunately, I am on a business trip out of town. In 2016, the city embarked on a year-long community-led visioning process. And from that emerged the city's vision statement. Winter Park is the city of arts and culture, cherishing its traditional scale and charm while building a healthy and sustainable future for all generations. Winter Park is a unique city. We're very fortunate to have over 20 nonprofit arts and culture organizations within our 10 square miles. Vision Winter Park was the impetus for the city to launch the Arts and Culture Alliance in 2017. This morning, you will learn more about them and their tremendous economic impact. I'd like to thank each of our Alliance members for their tireless work to inspire our community and ask that we all continue to support these organizations, which are vital to the high quality of life for our residents and guests here in Winter Park. Warm wishes to all of you this holiday season, and remember to give the gift of inspiration by supporting arts and culture. Now, let's meet each Alliance member.
Launched in 2017, the Arts and Culture Alliance was formed and continues to inspire our community. Meet our Arts and Culture Alliance. Winter Park Library, a vibrant, magnetic, and interactive 21st century library. Annie Russell Theater at Rollins College. Musicals and plays featuring student artists. Alban Palashik Museum and Sculpture Gardens, a historic home featuring exquisite art and serene lakefront gardens. Artreach Orlando transforms the lives of youth through the healing process of art. Bach Festival Society of Winter Park, music that inspires the human spirit. Casa Feliz Historic Home Museum, Winter Park's Community Parlor. Central Florida Vocal Arts and Opera del Sol, creating a more caring and connected community through inspiring professional performances and arts education for all. The Charles Hosmer Morse Museum of American Art, the world's most comprehensive collection of works by Louis Comfort Tiffany. Crealde School of Art, community-based visual arts programs and exhibitions for all ages. Hannibal Square Heritage Center, tributes to Winter Park's historic African American community through oral history and visual art. Mead Botanical Garden. Experience the joy as you journey through a 47-acre urban oasis. Open Scene, connecting communities through the arts. Rollins Department of Music features inspiring student musical performances of varying genres. Rollins Museum of Art, activating connections and dialogues through global art from the Renaissance to today. Winter Park Chamber of Commerce Autumn Art Festival, the only juried fine art festival exclusively featuring Florida artists. Winter Park History Museum. Collect, preserve, exhibit. Winter Park Institute, showcasing visionaries and extraordinary speakers. Winter Park Playhouse, Central Florida's only professional musical theater. The Winter Park Sidewalk Art Festival brings art lovers and artists from across the country together. Be inspired.
Standing here before you, looking at all of your faces and being able to see so many friends in the audience is such a wonderful feeling. And I think all of you have seen friends and people that you just haven't seen in years. And that's what art brings. Art brings the community together. So thank you all so much for coming today. I do want to thank Mayor Anderson for his support of arts and culture. And also at this time, I'd like to recognize our city leadership team, our Vice Mayor Sheila DeCiccio, Commissioner Marty Sullivan, and you may not know this, Commissioner Sullivan comes to all of our arts and culture meetings every month, so we truly appreciate your support. And Commissioners Chris Cusada and Todd Weaver were unable to be with us today, but we also have our City Manager, Randy Knight. We thank you all so much for your support of arts and culture in our community. And as the mayor explained, our efforts began in 2016 as a product of Vision Winter Park, 1 year before the Alliance was launched. And in fact, I saw Commissioner Sarah Sprinkle. Where are you, Commissioner? There she is. Thank you so much. She was one of the commissioners on the dais when this launched and said, we need to have our Arts and Culture Alliance. And Commissioner, I hope you're pleased and proud. Here we are today. This initiative is housed under the city's communications department because our expertise aligns with the Alliance's mission, which is to enhance and improve awareness and visibility of the nonprofit arts and culture organizations within the city limits, and that's exactly what we do. And since then, our Alliance has become 20 members strong. Our monthly meetings have become a gathering of friends where we brainstorm and we discuss and we collaborate on holistic ways in which we can market Winter Park as an arts and culture destination, ways in which we can make each other stronger and more impactful. We truly have become a family, and at this time, I would like to ask that each of our Alliance members to please stand, and if you're already standing, please wave your hands to be recognized. Alliance members. A tremendous amount of work has been done to elevate and uplift our members. And the funding that the city provides for us allows the Alliance to invest in opportunities that each member would not be able to do alone. It all began with branding and developing a logo. We created a website, wpinspires.org, that includes an all-inclusive event calendar where you will see that any day in Winter Park, any day that you pick, is an arts and culture day. Each year, we also develop an intensive promotional campaign that has street banners. We have ads in the Dr. Phillips Performing Arts Center playbills, co-ops and magazines such as Travel Host and Winter Park Magazine, radio spots. We send out direct mail pieces to our residents and businesses in the city. We have pocket maps that are at each of your seats, flyers, brochures, and even booths at our own art festivals. And these are just a few examples of the work that the Alliance has done to holistically market Winter Park as an arts and culture destination. All of these assets would not have come to fruition without the creativity of the team in our communications department. And I'd like to ask Craig O'Neill, our assistant director, Teresa Broman, our creative services manager, Stephanie Silva, events and marketing coordinator, and Megan Robinson, our content and graphics coordinator, if you could wave to be recognized. Without them, we would have blank canvases, blank white pages, and blank computer screens, and that is not good in an arts and culture world, so we truly thank them for their dedication to the city. Now, even during COVID, your Alliance stayed active in our monthly meetings via Zoom. We also had to think outside the box, as everyone did, on how could we market the Alliance during this pandemic. And so what we did is we partnered with our good friends at Rollins College, where each Alliance member decorated the empty storefront windows at the former Gap that was on the corner of Lyman and Park Avenue. And as you see here, they transformed each of those empty windows into showcases of art. And partnerships are everything, and relationship building is an important part of our success. And many organizations advocate for arts and culture and our industry, and we are thrilled to have some of them with us today. Please join me in recognizing the United Arts President and CEO, Jennifer Evans. With her, we have Trudy Wild, also from United Arts. And also Orange County Arts and Cultural Affairs Director, Terry Olson. We thank you so much for your continued support and advocacy efforts for arts and culture in our community. Locally, in our own city, we are fortunate to have a Chamber of Commerce that believes art is good business. And we are so happy to have with us today President and CEO of the Winter Park Chamber of Commerce, Betsy Garner-Eckbert, to speak on this topic. Betsy.
Good morning, everyone. It's such a treat to be with you all, and I want to thank Clarissa and her team, Randy and his team, and the City Commission for prioritizing art. Jennifer Evans and I were just talking about the importance of government making art a priority, and that's certainly not a problem for us here in Winter Park. We're just so deeply fortunate to have so many art advocates. Excuse me. You know, our mission is to convene people and ideas, both for the benefit of our businesses and our community. So we're always looking for accretive benefits, both to our community and our businesses. And we can't think of a better intersection set than art and business together. We're so pleased to be able to advocate for the arts community in Winter Park. And even though it's relatively small compared to a Jennifer portfolio at the county level, it's extremely mighty. Certainly world-leading institutions and cultural experiences that make Winter Park an attractive destination throughout the portfolio of things that people can do in Central Florida when they visit or live here. And we're delighted to be able to add value to the promotion of those, not least through our Arts Festival, but we do this work throughout the year. We host a gallery at the Chamber of Commerce building that recognizes some best in show pieces from the Spring Art Festival that we're delighted to promote, and the many ways in which we understand that this creates commercial benefits for our restaurants, our retailers, our hoteliers, etc. Many of you know last year that Winter Park was awarded statewide grants that created an economic impact that yielded the return that we measure. So $580,000 in grants were paid at the state level last year directly to Winter Park institutions that resulted in $5 million of economic impact. Now, at its core, a Chamber of Commerce should be doing the work of economic development. And when we advocated in Tallahassee to be part of the chorus of people who help bring that money home, we were able to do the work that's so deeply tied and on mission and on brand for a Chamber of Commerce's work, and it was our privilege to do so. But I want to set the stage a little bit for what the reality is for Florida and why we continue to fight to make sure that these dollars come home to create both the qualitative and quantitative impacts that we hold dear. You know, each year we strategically assemble a curated delegation of business leaders, arts advocates, government leaders, and we travel to Tallahassee to advocate for full funding, the restoration of which to the state's art and cultural matching grant program. When funding for this program was slashed in 2019, Florida was left with $2.6 million in funds to distribute across one of the largest states in the country. That's shameful. And it actually put us at the position of number 48 in the country. It's never a good day when you're hugging close to Mississippi on the league table, right? So, with due respect to Mississippians, our ranking dropped from number 4 in the country to number 48. And I want everybody to stop and think about the kind of people that are in Tallahassee that would feel comfortable doing that. That's exactly where we were in 2019. So the Chamber made the restoration of this funding a key pillar of our advocacy platform for now 6 years. And we did this because slashing of that funding directly impacted every organization in this room. And the arts and culture organizations make up 18% of Winter Park's economy. Many of you know that we commissioned an economic study during the pandemic, and our team of economists modeled exactly what the constituent components of our economy are. So much of what goes on here economically is directly tied to the arts, 18% of which are arts organizations that create direct and downstream economic impacts to our city. And many of you, we thank you, are members of the Chamber of Commerce. Nearly every organization in the Alliance is a member, and if you're not, please, we can change that. We can help you out with that right away. The state's arts and cultural grants are critical to the economic strength of our community, our quality of life, and indeed the economy of the state of Florida. As the Chamber, it's our job to tell this side of the story, and we know that we're the ones to tell it. We don't want to get in the way of arts advocates who understand the benefits that accrue to children and their cognitive development, or the fabric of communities that's strengthened through this kind of work. We want to focus on the with business benefits, and that's the lane that we're in. We tell the story that art is good business, that it's an investment in the economic development of our entire community, and we believe that the Chamber is a unique voice that can build inroads with budget hawks and business-minded legislators who trust our voice on economic development. And what we love is that we can build bipartisan support and occupy the place of what we call the sane center in government. We need that sane center now more than ever. Legislators notice when we come up with our mayor, our Chamber of Commerce, commercial real estate agents, hospital systems, colleges, arts leaders in our delegation to Tallahassee, and they continually return in a united delegation to advocate on a single issue. To be sure, arts and culture organizations, many of you who are here in this room today, also convene in Tallahassee alongside our friends at the Florida Cultural Alliance, United Arts, and other advocacy groups. The Chamber's voice is designed to be additive and meant to complement those efforts. Our advocacy work, along with the advocacy of the arts organizations, has resulted in this funding being 85% restored, bringing us back to number 11 in the country. And while I appreciate the applause, we will never take our foot off the pedal. We will not stop until these funds are completely and fully restored. We're proud to be part of the Arts and Cultural Alliance, not only because we host the Autumn Art Festival, but because of the 18 members of the Arts and Cultural Alliance who are cherished members of the Chamber of Commerce. Our participation in the Alliance allows us to stay close to the priorities of Winter Park's arts and cultural organizations. It enables us to provide stronger advocacy, resources, and opportunities that not only meet your needs, but align with the values of this community. And we love that we can strengthen your connections with business leaders who can become your sponsors, donors, and champions for your organization. We will continue to harness the collective weight of our partnership with the city, business leaders, and art leaders to convene people and ideas for the betterment of the businesses and Winter Park. I congratulate you all on the work that you do, and thank you for letting us be a part of this today.
Thank you, Betsy and the Chamber of Commerce. We are so grateful for your efforts in serving as the voice for our cultural community in Tallahassee and here in Winter Park. It is now my great pleasure to introduce President and CEO of the Edyth Bush Charitable Foundation. This year, the city declared June 22nd, 2023 as Edyth Bush Charitable Foundation Day in celebration of their 50th anniversary. For over 3 of those 5 decades, David Odahowski has been helping people to help themselves. And I also happen to know he has some great news to share with us today. Isn't that right, David? All right, come on up, David.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, and fellow arts enthusiasts, welcome to this illuminating arts program. Today we gather to celebrate and delve into the transformative power of the arts in the city of Winter Park, a city of arts, culture, heritage, and philanthropy. You know who you are. Philanthropy serves as a cornerstone for artistic appreciation, innovation, and cultural preservation, enabling artists and institutions to thrive and enrich our cityscape. The arts are the soul of our city, reflecting its history, diversity, and spirit. Through the generous support of foundations, businesses, art patrons, and audiences, Winter Park is a canvas for creative expression where public art installations and cultural events foster a sense of community and shared experience, something we need more of. Philanthropic contributions to the art help ensure that it's accessible to everyone, regardless of social economic status, and that it continues to be an integral part of our daily lives. Moreover, philanthropy in the arts acts as a catalyst for social change, empowering artists to address the pressing issues and inspire action. It fuels the economic growth by attracting tourism and revitalizing neighborhoods. It creates job opportunities. And as we explore the multifaceted impact of the arts, I am pleased to announce that the Edyth Bush Charitable Foundation, as part of its 50th anniversary celebration, has committed $50,000 to the Arts and Cultural Alliance. This grant would not be possible, however, without the generosity of Archibald and Edyth Bush, arriving by train from St. Paul, Minnesota 70 years ago. Mr. and Mrs. Bush were greeted by Rollins College President Dr. Hugh McCain and First Lady Jeanette McCain, and the rest was history. This grant will also level up the important investment made by Mayor Anderson and the City Commissioner and the City Manager into the Alliance. It will acknowledge the inspired work of Clarissa Howard, Director of Communications, and her talented staff, along with the human capital that's been invested by 22 of the organizations that represent the Arts and Cultural Alliance in Winter Park. We hope that this grant will also complement the philanthropic commitments made by other Winter Park foundations. Also the Mayor Demings and Terry Olson from Orange County, the investments that United Arts of Central Florida, Jen Evans has made, the Florida Division of Arts and Cultural Affairs, and Carol Hanley-Goggin is here. And they've made these investments into the arts here in Winter Park. I also want to acknowledge that the grant recognizes Betsy Gardner, the CEO of the Winter Park Chamber, and their advocacy on behalf of the arts here locally, at the county level, and in our state capital of Tallahassee. So together, we can ensure that the arts remain a flourishing and an essential part of the city of Winter Park, one of the best places for arts, culture, heritage, and philanthropy in the state of Florida. Thank you.
Is that great news or what? $50,000 to the Arts and Culture Alliance here in Winter Park. Thank you so much, David. Thank you for being so dedicated to strengthening the nonprofit sector and promoting philanthropy throughout Central Florida. Now, part of this $50,000 grant does fund a senior advisor of arts and culture for the city of Winter Park. And we actually have that position posted and open till the end of the month. So if there is some talent that you have in your team that loves arts and culture as much as we do and is looking for a wonderful part-time job to work with an amazing communications department team, this is the place to go. citywinterpark.org/jobs, Senior Advisor of Arts and Culture. So we're really excited to find the perfect fit to elevate our alliance even more. Now, since 2019, just prior to the pandemic, the Arts and Culture Alliance had brought on an expert, Diane Matarazza, and she was here to assist us in developing our goals and strategies going forward. She's a seasoned expert that has contracted with more than 100 arts and cultural organizations, and she has also worked for the National Endowment for Arts, National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences Foundation, and the Alliance of New York State Arts Councils, just to name a few. With her help, we were able to compile significant statistics that Craig O'Neill, our Assistant Communications Director, will share with you this morning. Craig is at the head of the table with me as we work with our Alliance members, and he also has the pleasure of serving as the liaison to the city's Public Art Advisory Board. Craig.
Thank you, Clarissa. Good morning, everyone. It's so great to see so many friendly faces and supporters of arts and culture with us today. Thank you all for being here. We had collected a great deal of information through our member survey for fiscal year 2022, and I'm happy to share some of the results with you today. This slide illustrates the deep roots that the Alliance organizations have in our community. The top 3 organizations on this chart have been serving residents of Winter Park and surrounding areas for more than 100 years. And half of the organizations have existed for more than 50 years. Even more impressive is the Alliance's talent pool. As shown here, in regard to years of service, 11 Alliance executive directors have been in their positions for a decade or more, as seen in light blue. Looking across all organizations, we see a combination of both new faces and seasoned arts veterans. Collectively, Alliance leaders have impressive credentials, accomplishments, and a wide range of experience. Winter Park is beyond fortunate to have this many arts and culture professionals in our community. Together, our Alliance members have offered more than 6,000 creative opportunities, over 2,700 learning opportunities, and free events for over 787,000 patrons. Over 50,000 young people were inspired with K-12 programs, both in and outside of schools. Alliance members continue to work tirelessly and deliberately to expand program accessibility and marketing efforts to patrons from a diverse spectrum. As an example, the Alliance is now active with various chambers of commerce. In addition to already having the Winter Park Chamber of Commerce as a member, the Alliance has joined 4 new chambers, including African American, Asian American, Eatonville, and the Hispanic Chambers of Commerce. The work of offering the very best programs and expanding accessibility and audience base is done by many talented, dedicated professionals. As seen here in this graph, 16 of our member organizations reported 77 full-time employees, 185 part-time employees, 923 contractors, and 1,118 year-round volunteers. However, if we take away 2 of our largest Alliance organizations, we can see just how lean the majority of the remaining organizations are staffed, as shown in the numbers outlined in red. Although hard work and a lean staff is incredibly admirable, we are looking to ensure the sustainability. Of the 1,122 artists currently working with the Alliance members in program delivery, less than half of them are compensated. This slide also speaks volumes about the passion and dedication of Winter Park's most creative individuals. But looking ahead, we must consider how can this ratio be improved. This final slide is related to sustainability. Currently, just half of our Alliance members responding to the survey report having health insurance for employees, and just 22% have retirement plans. A long-term priority may be to see that resources are available to provide essential benefits for employees. Raising these numbers is a tall order, but it is essential not only to keeping the Alliance workforce strong, but continuing to attract the very best caliber of talent to Winter Park. And these are, again, a few of the examples of the topics we are discussing at our monthly Alliance meetings. We sincerely thank David Odahowski and the Edyth Bush Charitable Foundation for their help with us taking the next step to strengthen the Alliance. Looking ahead, your help, each person here today, in building the strength and sustainability of each Alliance member will ensure Alliance organizations have the resources they need to continue to represent Winter Park as the city of arts and culture. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce our special guest. Here to provide the Winter Park specific Arts Economic Prosperity 6 study, please welcome Americans for the Arts Vice President of Research, who traveled all the way from Washington, D.C. to be with us this morning, Randy Cohen.
All right, good morning, everyone. All right, We got it. We're working. Wow, it is great to be here, and it is great to be out of Washington, D.C. A city that's never encumbered by the facts these days, and we're talking about a lot of really good data. I got to tell you, I travel to so many communities. We released this big arts and economic prosperity study in early October. I'm already in my 26th city. But you won't find a city that's got the arts leadership that we see from the city, from the philanthropy sector, and from the business sector, all in one place. Sometimes you got a strong city and the business community's nowhere to be found. Sometimes it's just the opposite. So congratulations to you, because the evidence is all around us of that kind of community support and leadership. And I just want to say thank you, and really a model for other communities right here in Winter Park. So that's, yes, totally appropriate. So I am a native Floridian, so it's good to be back in my state. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful to be here. If you believe that everyone in our communities should have the opportunity to experience and participate in the arts, that every child deserves a quality arts education in this community, then we all together need a quiver full of case-making arrows to support the arts, to advance that advocacy work. And today, we're going to sharpen two of those arrows, the economic one and the social impact one, which are just so important for our communities. It's great to see so many folks here in the room. It's been a rough couple years for the arts, right? I love the window work and just trying to keep the arts present in people's minds. The pandemic was so hard on all businesses, particularly brutal and devastating for the arts. 99% of presenting organizations in this country had to close, cancel programming, some sort of reopen, and like, whoa, that didn't work. Close and reopen again later. A lot of them never reopened at all. So the Johns Hopkins University actually tracks employment at nonprofits across the board. Nonprofit arts and culture organizations lost jobs at 5 times the rate of all nonprofits. Right? All right, I'm seeing heads nod. We all felt that, right? The Bureau of Economic Analysis, top economic shop on the planet, they actually did a lot of research on the effects of the pandemic. And, in like a tourism-rich state, in a community like this, hospitality, restaurants, hotels, airlines really got hit hard. And then look out below, that's where the arts were. And they called out the arts as one of the most impacted sectors of the pandemic. Now, they're working their way back as evidence. Here we are, and thank goodness for that. Not every arrow pointed downward for the arts during the pandemic. One went crazy upward, and that was personal participation, people making art. Amazon was writing articles about ukulele sales off the charts, during the pandemic. I don't know, show of hands. Did anybody try a new kind of art or culture, music, culinary? Yeah, all right, good. This is good. I'm sure there's a few more, because my national public opinion survey that I did last summer showed 37%, 1/3 of the American population tried some kind of new arts, culture activity, culinary, some kind of creative expression, right? So I did. I actually took up knitting. Now that I am a fiber artist, I decided... Thank you for the laugh, because there's a fiber artist out there going like, wait, what? But we've got a fabulous textile museum in Washington, D.C. Yay, absolutely, totally appropriate clapping there. So I thought, well, let's do that. So what is the first thing we did? Well, turned on the computer and went online and found their website, and they were open. And, and it's like, here's our safety protocols, here's our new hours, and, and there we've got exhibitions, and we're pulling things out of storage, and there's some, performance and presentation and lectures, and like, wow, this sounds great. So we clicked another button and bought our tickets, pulled out the credit card, and we were all set to go. So Saturday comes, and we drive downtown, park in a parking garage, give the guy my $10, got my stub, and so we were all set there. And then on the way to the theater, we stopped and had a meal, right? Isn't that something we do when we go to an arts event? It's you make a whole event out of it. And it's a wonderful restaurant in D.C., Founding Farmers. It's like one of these farm-to-fork places. Everything's grown within 50 miles. So wonderful. It's like, so we went there and had a really nice meal, spent $70. And so, it wasn't a cheap meal. But I was like, we're out. We're going to do something. And then from there, it was off to the museum. And we walked over there, and it's a beautiful modern architecture place, and got our program, showed our paperless admission thing. And I can tell you, my first sensory experience, though, of the afternoon was not like the awe of a 1,000-year-old tapestry or like, oh, these amazing quilts. It was the air conditioning, because this was August in Washington, D.C. So I was like, I already love this place, and we haven't even gotten around yet. And we saw a lecture from a curator and saw some exhibitions. And so I'll just kind of hit the pause button there real quick and roll back a week. Think of all the industries that were already touched related to this one afternoon. Randy finally gets out of the house date, Well, it started when we went online and checked out the Textile Museum's website. Arts organizations have websites, and that means they employ web designers and programmers and photographers and writers, and we bought our tickets online, right? So now you got the finance, the banking, the e-commerce folks. They're seeing a little bit of that action. And then it was off to downtown and parked in a parking garage. I can tell you, during the week, you can't even get a space in the garage. During the weekend, however, we don't have tumbleweed in DC, but let me tell you, if we did, that's the neighborhood area the city would be blowing through. So, but it's those arts and culture organizations that keep those parking garages going. And that person who gave me my stub, that's a job. The people who, whoever owns and manages that parking garage, those are businesses. And then to the restaurant, right? So some of those $70 go into the growers and producers of the food, right? Everything happens within 50 miles. And the waiter who waited on us, that's personal income. The owner of the restaurant, entrepreneurial income. So there's all of the impact of that activity. And then it was off to the museum. And you ever know whenever you go to an arts event, you're always getting paper, right? Even today, we got paper. Well, and programs and flyers and postcards. It's all we're surrounded by it. It's beautiful stuff. There is a writer in the community that's paid to write that. There is graphic artists that do all that design and layout work. And then it's printed. Printers make bank off the arts because we just add up our printing bills and talk to the Rotary clubs like, who are the printers? And it's always like 3 people in the back, and it's like, look at all this, it's all coated paper and color and lots of copies. So even just that program. And then the utility bill. I don't know what it takes to, keep some of these huge cultural facilities cool in the summer, warm in the winter, right? But these are the kind of things arts organizations spend money on. Most people, if they start to think about arts as an industry, it's when they see that curator, or it's a musician, or they see, the talented singers coming before us. But the fact is, arts organizations employ a whole range of people in the community. They've got accountants and auditors, they've got security, and they've got, plumbers and electricians. So that's what we set out to do with this whole arts and economic prosperity study, looking at the spending by arts and culture organizations and their audiences, that event-related spending. And that's what arts and economic prosperity is all about. Does that make sense? Everyone with me? All right, so let's talk a little bit about what we did here. Arts and economic prosperity, it's the largest, most comprehensive study of its kind. 373 communities across all 50 states and Puerto Rico. We studied communities as small as 4,000, as large as 4 million. You know what? If the arts are happening in a large urban city, in a rural community, economic impact is happening there as well. worked with the city and our art friends at the county there to survey arts organizations and do audience intercept surveys. Jennifer, Trudy, thank you so much, and Terry. And so we got the whole crowd here. This is great. You got so much arts leadership in this room. I'm feeling the energy. So we surveyed the arts and culture organizations. We take a really conservative approach to this, by the way. So 17 of the 20 members of the Alliance, plus 6 other organizations, 23 organizations participated. That's the data we use. We don't make estimates for non-respondents. Every dollar I'm going to talk about, we can put our hands on. We interviewed 515 attendees at arts events and asked them, how much did you spend? And so that's a huge statistically significant sample. We focus on nonprofit arts and culture organizations, municipal organizations, programs in the community like at the library or a social service organization. We don't include Hollywood Motion Pictures or a local architecture firm or the commercial galleries. All a really important part of our cultural ecology, just not part of this study, right? Why? Why do we sort of draw a box around that? Well, because when the city or when foundations or businesses are supporting arts and culture organizations, that's who those dollars are typically going to. Nonprofit, public sector, community organizations. And it's an appropriate question to ask, what's the city getting in return for that investment? Sure, cultural benefits, but also now we know economic benefits. Lastly, I'll say we work with a team of economists, and we use an in-plan platform when we customize an input-output analysis model right here for Winter Park. We do that because $50 spent here is going to have a different economic impact than 50 spent in Tallahassee or Jacksonville or Tampa. Very locally based. It takes 1 million calculations just to come up with a couple economic impact points. So bottom line, this is conservative, this is rigorous. You can feel really solid about these data. So what did we find out? First, let's look at total economic activity. $44.3 million of economic activity. Arts and culture is big business here in this community, right? So yeah, totally appropriate. That figure is composed of 2 numbers, and you got the one on the left, that's spending just those 23 organizations. $21.4 million in 2022 in spending. Arts organizations, and you heard it, are businesses. They employ people locally. They purchase goods and services from other businesses in the community. They're members of the chamber. They help drive tourism. Arts organizations are good business citizens, and that's kind of a myth buster. Most people just don't think about the arts as a business. We appreciate it's like, oh, they're these wonderful cultural amenities, and they sure are, but they are also businesses. Now, like every business, they have an economic impact. So does the dog catcher's office, so does a gas station. But few industries generate the kind of event-related spending that the arts do. And, you know, that's just my Saturday afternoon date, right? And so you can see there, $22.9 million in spending by attendees at arts and culture events. And we're going to drill down a little bit in a sec, because there's some great numbers about that. But what's the economic impact of that spending? Well, the first thing we look at is jobs. 850 jobs supported across the city. 850 exactly. I hate that number. It's like so perfect, you know, but it's like, run them again. You sure it's not 849 or 851? It was 850. So this isn't like a rounding thing. I would have much preferred if it was 851. Now remember, those are jobs not just at arts and culture organizations, those are jobs across the community, and then there's all the hospitality jobs related, so there's restaurants and lodging and all of that. And it's not just artists and, and arts administrators and arts leaders, because our arts organizations also employ that whole range of people, right? Bottom line, arts, not just food for the soul, putting food on the table for 850 exactly households right here in Winter Park. What else do we look at? Well, if there's jobs, people are earning an income. People are making a living at the arts. $36.1 million, and that's in personal income. That's payroll, entrepreneurial income, salaries. It's all the ways we make our money it goes in this pocket, and then we turn around and write a check for, rent and utilities and tuition and everything else. Government revenue, again, 10.0, another perfectly even number, in local, state, and federal government revenue. You know what? Pretty much everywhere you look, the revenue to government always exceeds the investment. Small investment, big returns. That's the arts, right? The bottom line is when we support the arts, those dollars aren't disappearing down some black hole of goodness. They're given back to the community, socially, educationally, economically. So really powerful numbers. But now let's start to drill down a little bit, because this is really the value add aspect of the arts, right? So 515 audience intercept surveys. We found the typical attendee spends $40.67 per person per event, not including the cost of admission. See those pieces of the pie up there? None of them are admission. I was thinking about this just last week. Our admission to the Textile Museum was like by far the smallest bucket of money we spent. I mean, it was like a thimbleful compared to everything else. Tickets were only $8 a piece to get into the museum, but we dropped all kinds of cash, everywhere else. So, that little arts spending is leveraging all kinds of other business. And you heard it from several of the speakers earlier. If you're a local business, you love the arts. You're so grateful for our performances and our exhibitions and our festivals and, and our open air and our public art, because people are spending money. So 40-67, and you can see like in the 10 o'clock position, there's the food, and those ratios are pretty typical. Local transportation, that's my parking. And some of you may be looking at lodging, and wow, can you still get a room here for $6? And would you want to if you could get it? Right, no, you wouldn't. Remember, not everybody's got a lodging cost, and this is an average. Nationally, we did 224,000 audience surveys. So other gets really interesting when you got that many people, right, with an open-ended question. There was a farmer up in Wisconsin who paid somebody $60 to milk his cows so he could go to the theater that night. Isn't that great? People are doing what it takes to get to the arts. Of course, now I have to add dairy to my survey next time, I guess. But so in addition to how much did you spend, we also asked those folks for their zip code, because we want to find out, do you live in Orange County, which would make you local, or are you from outside the county? 43% of attendees came from outside the county. Oh, by the way, statewide, the average audience spending was about $45. We had over 30 communities across Florida, hugely well-represented state. But nationally, the average, $38.46. So, we're coming in strong there. So 43% of attendees outside the county, do they spend differently? Yeah, you bet they do. $56.33 per person per event, not including the cost of admission. And this is where you start to see the lodging costs, right? So I'm going to do a little thing with my hands here. So 43% of attendees live outside the county, and 12% of them had a lodging cost. Those lodging people average $207 per person per event, right? So you get that head in the bed, that's when the cash registers really start ringing. That's the arts. Heads in beds, cheeks in seats, derrieres and cafe chairs, it's really doing a lot for business. We also asked folks, those non-local folks, one more question, because we're just that annoying. And that is, why are you here? We're glad you're here. Thank you for coming. Are you here on business? Are you here visiting friends and family? 81%, 4 in 5 people said, we came specifically for this arts event, right? Look at that pulling power that the arts have. And then we asked their local counterparts, well, what would you have done if this arts event wasn't available? Stayed home, done something else? We gave people a list of things to do. 64% said, oh, we travel to a different community to attend a similar kind of arts event. So when we invest in arts and culture, it's not a frill, it's not an extra, it's an industry that's providing cultural benefits, but it's drawing people to the community, people who are coming here for arts and culture, and look at all the money they're spending at local businesses. So a really good news story for arts and culture here in the city. Let's see, I am going to just talk ever so briefly. There's a couple economic impact studies that are out there, and I just want to contrast one that you may have heard of. And by the way, all the numbers we talk about, they're full reports on the city's website, and it's a 58-page report. But there is another study that gets beyond just the nonprofit arts and culture organizations that's out there. So that's what we did, right? Nonprofit arts and culture organizations and their audiences. The U.S. Department of Commerce does something called the Arts and Cultural Production Satellite, where they look at the entire arts industry. So they also include the commercial, Hollywood motion pictures, Broadway, publishing, architecture, university drama, dance departments, individual artists and gig workers, import, export. They took the whole economy in a trash can, dumped it on a table, pulled out every arts receipt that they could find. Nationally, this is the U.S. Department of Commerce. They ping arts and culture in this country in 2021 as a $1.02 trillion industry. Trillion with a T. It's the first time it's ever popped $1 trillion. They do this every year. And then they also do statewide studies. So you can see $39 billion right here in Florida. That's 3.1% of the state's economy. And you can see almost 245,000 jobs. That's bigger than transportation. That's bigger than education. That's bigger than agriculture. So when you get out there and do your advocacy in Tallahassee and in the city, and somebody comes back and says, well, I love the arts, but we got to focus on business. Arts, culture, industry, it is a business, and a really strong one. But our nonprofit arts and culture organizations depend on that investment. As nonprofit arts and culture organizations, we've got a public purpose. And that's to make arts and culture accessible to our community. And part of that is affordability. And that's why the city and the business and the private sector and the foundation support is so important. So just a couple lenses to look at economic impact there. All right, one of the things we did this time, which was different from past studies, is, we try to look at the flip side a little bit of, let's face it, nobody, we didn't go to the arts event that Saturday, or you're not planning anything for this weekend. We got to go to the arts because it's going to be so good for the economy, right? No, we're going because it's going to bring us delight and pleasure and inspiration. And so we asked these 4 questions, social impact questions, to the attendees that we surveyed. And these numbers are amazing. These are all higher than the national averages, pretty much upper 80s to 90% of the people in this area who attend local arts events say this arts and culture event and this venue is a source of pride and identity for our community. I would feel a great sense of loss if this arts and culture event were no longer available. And what I really think is, one of the calls to action on here, 89% said, it's important to me that this cultural experience be available to future generations. And that, to me, takes these arts events and the work we do out of kind of one-time transactional opportunities. And it's really about the history and the heritage of our community. Arts and culture is about where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. And so there's huge appreciation by the public for this as well. So there's a lot of deep value and valuing of arts and culture by folks here. When you download that report, one of the things you'll see is a number of national partners we have on this, and it's all on the back cover of the report. So Washington, D.C., right, where I work, is the land of national organizations. There's so many national organizations in Washington, D.C., there's actually a national organization for the national organizations. I kid you not. But you can actually make this work for you because you see organizations up there like the U.S. Conference of Mayors, the National League of Cities, cities where our city councils and our mayors all caucus. Got the International City County Managers Association up there. Independent sector, where so many of our private sector leaders. If you're in the business community, the Conference Board, national partner on this. Community action and activists and equity organizations like Race Forward, all partners on your study because they too believe arts and culture has a central role in our communities, and they buy into the methodology and they buy into the results. And this will really boost the credibility of your advocacy work. Because when you go and you talk to a community leader, an elected leader, show them the back of that report. It's like, you know what? Your national organization is part of this conversation. So I mentioned I did a big public opinion survey this past summer. So those social impact numbers were just for right here in Winter Park. This is more, again, the national numbers. 86% of the American public says, yeah, the arts improve community livability, the places we want to live, and quality of life. Not a surprise. 79%, however, say, and they agree, arts are good for local economy. Arts are good for local businesses and local jobs. So the public gets this as well. But we got to remind them, because again, remember, this isn't intuitive. But here's the fascinating thing about those numbers. Both of them are higher than the share of the population that actually attends the arts. Isn't that interesting? More people value arts and culture than attend the arts. And so, what that looks like maybe is, well, I may not go to the museum, but boy, when my mother visits, thank God for the museum, business leaders, attracting and retaining workforce is so important. Well, workers in the new economy, they're picking the communities that they want to live in. They're saying, look, I'm creative and innovative in the workplace. I want creative communities to live and work in. So business leaders may or may not participate directly, but they're seeing the benefit and they value it for their business work. And just sort of a last one here, and this is, I think, really what gives me inspiration and hope. 72% of the population says the arts create opportunities for shared experiences, regardless of age, race, ethnicity, or faith. 63%, arts and culture helps me understand other cultures in my community. The arts, after the pandemic, they got us out of our homes into public spaces for shared experiences. Arts really do connect us and do unify communities and create opportunities for that. Safe spaces to have those conversations. So let me wrap up here. And you're looking at a picture from Paris in 1913. Bad news at the Louvre. The Mona Lisa was stolen. And those are the hooks where it had been hanging. It took them 2 years to get the painting back. But in the 2 years that the Mona Lisa was gone, more people went to see where the painting had been hanging. You all know where this is going. 2 years, saw the painting hooks, then saw the painting itself in the previous 14 years. It's so easy for folks to take arts and culture for granted, to assume our work will always be there in the community. We've all got a job to do to support the arts. It's coming to the end of the year. When we make our personal contributions, remember our local arts and culture organizations. If we're businesses, foundations, continue that investment in sponsorship. And just go to the arts, right? Voting with our feet and supporting the arts with our feet. As advocates, I've got a golden rule of advocacy at Americans for the Arts. No numbers without a story, no stories without a number. Arts are full of stories, how they've touched us personally. It might be our children in education, or arts in a hospital experience, and tell that story and then pair it with the numbers. In each of your bags, you'll see 10 reasons to support the arts, 10 fabulous messages about the arts, all on one page. Just carry it with you all the time. That is your advocacy one-pager right here. So everything you do to advance the arts is important. You're important for doing it. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Randy. Hopefully Winter Park was a refreshing break from Washington, D.C. for you. Yes. And I think we would all agree that arts and culture in Winter Park is very important to our quality of life, our livability, and our economy. We also feel an inspiring sense of pride in our city as we support the arts through our attendance, our contributions, and our advocacy. Before we close, I would like to ask our beautiful performers from Central Florida Vocal Arts to start heading up this way for another inspiring performance of a familiar tune with a Winter Park twist. As they make their way to the stage, please scan this QR code to sign up for our newsletter that is filled with ways that you can inspire and continue to inspire others. Please do not forget to visit with all of our amazing Alliance members that are spread throughout the room to find out how you can give that gift of arts and culture this holiday season. Central Florida Vocal Arts performers, please take it away.
Raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens, bright copper kettles and warm woolen mittens, brown paper packages tied up with strings. These are a few of my favorite things.
Cream-colored ponies and crisp apple strudels, doorbells and sleigh bells and schnitzel with noodles, wild geese that fly with the moon on their wings. These are a few of my favorite things.
That's nice, but what about the arts in Winter Park?
Jazz at Blue Bamboo, a stroll through Mead Gardens,
Ooh.
inspiring collections at Rollins and Alfond.
Our
Vocal arts
festival,
where we believe all can sing.
those are a few of my favorite things.
When the dog bites,
When the bee stings, when I'm feeling sad, I simply remember my favorite things, and then I don't feel so bad.
welcome new members, open scene and art read.
Celebrate Pillars, Casa, and Creole Day.
Art festival in the autumn and spring, these are a few of my favorite things.
Cabaret at the Playhouse, a show at the Annie's.
History Museum in Hannibal Square.
Winter Park Institute and our new library.
These are a few of my favorite things.
Alfred Polashek and Morse are iconic.
In Bach Festival and the music at Rollins,
Gladdening light where you learn a new thing.
these are a few of my favorite things.
When the dog bites,
When the bee stings, when I'm feeling sad, I simply remember my favorite things, and then I don't feel so bad. When the dog bites, when the bee stings, when I'm feeling sad, I simply remember my favorite things, and then I don't feel so bad.
All right, everyone, that concludes our event. Thank you so much, and please go and inspire. Thank you.